Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news, and it would be wrong not to start off with last night. I tell you what, this always happens with me. I end up feeling worse the day after than the night before. I feel absolutely gutted at United losing last night, but the reality is the reality that we didn't deserve to win. I mean, I don't know whether you're aware of this. We had 60% possession, which is a lot. You know, people say, well, 60-40, but 60% possession is a lot in a high-level game. We had 2 shots on target in 120 minutes. And people want to start scapegoating players, which we'll talk about in a minute. But look, the big news I want to start off with is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's contract. There's a lot going on this morning. We know Zidane's leaving Madrid, Conte's leaving Inter. There's even talk of Poch leaving PSG. Manchester United will not be replacing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They won't be doing that. He will get his new contract. His new contract was planned to be announced this week after winning the Europa League. Obviously, that's going to go down like a lead balloon now. So when United are going to announce this new contract, I don't know. They want to get it done very quickly because they expected a positivity bubble to announce it in, and I think everyone would have been positive about that. But there is, whatever you think about the players, whatever you think about the manager, whatever you think about the coaching staff, if you think Ole as a manager is a 5, just remember our board is a 1. Like, the board is shit. It's totally crap. Like, in football, it is established that Man United are like run like a ship without a captain. They are useless, absolutely useless. So don't expect. People will start saying, well, Real Madrid would sack their manager for that last night. Yeah, they probably would. You're probably right, but not this club. It's not going to happen. So, where the Glazer out movement is, I don't know, but that needs to be very, very high up still, because this football club is... I mean, I feel sorry for Marcus Rashford coming out and having to say what he said yesterday, but to say that we're close is massively naive. For Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to say we've got to learn from the mistakes and where it went wrong, we all know where it went wrong. We're not close. We're a badly run club in a Poundland Champions League final, losing to a Spanish Burnley. Like, that's what happened last night. There's no excuses. There are no excuses. We should be winning that game, and we didn't because we're not good enough in many different areas. And I don't think it's going to get any better, because I do not think that this club is any good. And people who want to moan at Marcus Rashford, can I just say, if I was Marcus Rashford or Bruno Fernandes or Paul Pogba this morning, I'd be more worried about what they're thinking this morning than whether they're good enough. Because if I was waking up as a decent player at United this morning, I would know, like the rest of you know, why we lost that game. And I'd be going, is my career best served at this football club? Am I actually going to win anything? Because if I'm Bruno Fernandes, I'm waking up this morning and I'm going... what a load of crap that was last night. How are we losing that game? What a pitifully bad performance from Manchester United. And I want to bring in something tactical in a minute. But can I just say that the scapegoating of Marcus Rashford or David De Gea or anything like that is like being the victim of 10 great white sharks. Like 10 great white sharks attack you and you've got bite marks all over you, right? You go to the hospital, you've miraculously survived, and then someone walks in and goes, there's a plaster over the wound. Well, that's not going to help me. My leg's hanging off. That's what blaming De Gea or Rashford is. It's putting a plaster over numerous wounds that won't heal with a plaster. Like, it's a cover-up. Like, it's a cover-up. I've seen some media outlets this morning going in on Rashford, going in on De Gea. What a load of jokes. What a load of jokes. The football last night has got... Look, you lose a penalty shootout, you lose a penalty shootout. I remember Stuart Pearce missing a penalty in 1990 and Chris Waddle. I remember Southgate missing a penalty. I remember David Batty missing a penalty. If Dan James had missed the penalty last night, Dan James would be getting shit this morning, but it's nothing to do with who misses the penalty. 120 minutes of dire football. And as for Marcus, I mean, look, if you want to blame De Gea for missing a penalty or not saving a penalty, more fool you. More fool you. I'll talk about the goalkeeper situation in a little bit. But if you want to blame Marcus Rashford, I saw, I think it was Luckhurst in the Manchester Evening News. And I'm sorry to shout him out, but it's just an example of many other people in the media. He gave David De Gea a 4 out of 10 in the player ratings. He gave Marcus Rashford a 3 out of 10. And he gave Victor Lindelof a 6. We lost that game because of Victor Lindelof. Like, he didn't mark his man. Villarreal had one shot on goal, I think. One shot on target in the whole game, I think. And that's because of Victor Lindelof. So if you want to scapegoat anybody, scapegoat the fact that Lindelof should have been dropped 6 months ago. There was an argument yesterday about whether Bailly or Twansebi should start with Lindelof. Why the hell was Lindelof starting? He's cost us so many goals this season. If you want to blame anybody, and I don't think I think I know where the blame should go. The actual person who cost us the game yesterday was Victor Lindelof for not being able to defend. And that's happened time and time again this season. But let me just say this. Marcus Rashford is injured. Marcus Rashford played badly yesterday. Marcus Rashford doesn't pick himself. Marcus Rashford is a Manchester United fan. He actually is a fan of the club. You know, some players love the club, but they're not fans of the club. Marcus Rashford is a Manchester United fan who is being asked to play in a cup final. And he's like, I and you. He's going to play. It is not Marcus Rashford's issue to say, take me off. I want to come off. I wouldn't go off. I wouldn't go off. Unless I had a broken leg, I wouldn't go off. Because I want to play for Manchester United. Everybody having a pop at Rashford really doesn't understand the issue here. And as for the racial abuse, I mean, just get in the bin. What is all that about? But to go in on these players individually, like Marcus Rashford, and even Victor Lindelof, you know, like, it's not Lindelof's fault. It's not David De Gea's fault, and it's not Marcus Rashford's fault. Marcus Rashford should have been took off. We took Paul Pogba off in extra time and kept Rashford on. The obsession with Rashford with Ollie is baffling. Like, he needs at least a month off. He is not going to take a month off. I wouldn't take a month off. That is bad management. Like, Rashford, the shit Marcus Rashford's getting is unbelievably bad, because he can't sub himself. It comes down to coaching. And Lindelof, you know, I've not heard much criticism of Lindelof, to be fair. Well, he cost us the game. That was one chance, and he blew it. But he doesn't pick himself. So, look, it comes down to decision-making. It comes down to coaching. And the reality is, as well, I've said this many times before. Let me just read some of your chats, because I think we've got quite a lot to get through. I'm not even surprised, says DK. We are bad in the important moments from top to bottom. The board is the board for the game. I knew some players won't turn up. Look, DK's hit the nail on the head. This club is run badly from top to bottom. And, you know, maybe winning the Europa League would have been a bit of a cover-up job, to be fair. I wanted to win it. I'm so disappointed we didn't. But it would be a cover-up, because I'm telling you now, from top to bottom, that football club is a mess, and has been a mess for a long time. You know, the Old Trafford leaking is a metaphor for Manchester United as a football club. It's ruined. It's rusting away. Every United player on the bench would start in the Villarreal team. All the best, thank you, says Carl. And I'm heartbroken and just as disappointed everyone, but racial abuse is not and never will be okay. The thing about the racial abuse is it's just filth. It's filth to do racial abuse on Marcus Rashford, because actually it's racist. And it's idiotic. And the racism is the worst part, but the idiocy is awful as well. Rashford played badly. What is he supposed to do? Take his shirt off? I'm taking myself off, Ollie. Please don't take yourself off. Please. Yeah, he can't take himself off. So it comes down to the coaches. Hi, Mark. Are you Ollie in for any other reason besides fear of delusion? Top red rage against your channel, says Andre. Mate, no. I'll answer that question very quickly. We've just finished second in the league. Massive summer ahead. And I've always said that next season will be the season, because I think we're in a false position. So would I sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer today if a really good manager was available? I would, yes, I would. But I'm not in charge of this football club. And I would be ruthless. So yes, I would do it. I've always said I don't think Ollie's the man to take us where we need to be. I want him to be, and I'm more than willing to give him, and I think he should be given next season. But if I was in charge, would I make a big ruthless decision? Mate, I wouldn't have McTominay and Fred at Manchester United. Lindelof would be gone. After last night, Marcus Rashford would be getting 4 months off. He wouldn't be going to the Euros. I'd be like, go and heal. Just go and heal, and let's get the real Rashford back. So, you know, my level of ruthlessness is, way up there this morning. So, yeah, I would change the manager if there was a really good manager available, but not for Poch. Not for Conte. You know, would I do it for Zidane? I probably would. But look, this is not going to happen. And Solskjaer will be the manager next season. And I hope he gets back to this summer. Because I tell you what, talking about transfers, this is where the board are at fault. Varane, Rice, Sancho. Let's see what Ollie can do next season. That, for me, is what needs to happen. But can I just say, because you make a good point there. Ashton says, do you think Bruno will leave? 100%. I would leave. Not this summer. Next summer. Definitely. But let me just bring this in here for a minute. I haven't used this for a while. I've said this for a while, And I just want to explain this. We finished second in the league, and I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a very good manager. I thought his decision-making last night was appalling, but I've said for a long time, I think that, well, Solskjaer said he doesn't do the day-to-day coaching. He's a man manager. He leaves the coaching to his coaches. So you've got to open your eyes to that as well. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a very good man manager, but he is a bit weak. You know, he has his favourites. We saw that with Rashford last night. How Rashford's played 120 minutes injured and Donny van der Beek's not even got off the bench. It's just madness, absolute madness. And it's ultimately cost us the game. But the main thing that cost us the game is that, and I've said this for a while and a few people agree with me, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needs coaches behind him. And I'm going to expose this a little bit, but it's a theory and it's an opinion. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should have got top coaches behind him. What he got is mates. Manchester United Football Club is riddled with mates rates. Flex was saying this morning, it's a jolly boys outing. Everybody knows each other. Everyone's connected to the club. McKenna's come through from the youth setup. Darren Fletcher's come back. Murtaugh's the new director of football, but he's been here for years. Arnold's going to take over the CEO. He's been here for years. Mike Phelan's got a massive history at the club. Michael Carrick, no coaching background. Sat next to Mourinho. Mourinho didn't take him with him. He left him at United and now he's an assistant coach. They're all nice people. They're all working really hard. But I tell you what, they're not good enough. They ain't good enough. I tell you what, if I was Solskjaer, I would be saying to Carrick, McKenna and all my other coaches, you're not having the summer off. There are leagues being played around the world. Go and shadow the Brazil side in Copa America. Go and shadow the Portuguese side. Go and learn to coach. Because I'm telling you what, last night, we don't know how to coach. I know Macclesfield Town coaches that would sort that defence out. You know, I know Brentford coaches that would get us to play against the low block better. It's a job for the boys. We're not playing at this properly. We're playing mates rates. We're employing, you know, like those jobs you go for and you don't get the job even though you know the best candidate because the boss knows somebody else and he's getting his mate in. You know, golf club vibes. You know, yeah, I'll get you a membership. Man United's being run like a traditional boys club. You know, jobs for the boys, secret handshakes. This is high-end football. You should have specialists in every position. CEO, director of football, coaches. Ole, whatever you think about Ole, and he made some bad decisions last night, he's got bad coaches around him. It's compounded by the naivety and the high five. You watch him on the bench, there's no aggression. There's no disagreement. It's all like, what do you think about this? You watch them, the camera goes to them and it's like, what do you think about this? There's no decisiveness. And look, if anybody has a problem about the coaching last night, this is basically this 60% possession, right, against Villarreal. This is basically what was happening a lot. You've got the fullbacks pushing on, and then you've got Pogba and McTominay next to each other, and then you've got two banks of four and two. And this could be Villarreal, it could be Burnley, it could be numerous times this season. What we kept doing with the ball was this. We kept moving. Sorry, wait a minute. Let me just lock these in so they don't move around. I should have prepped this properly. So what the fuck's that doing? Get me the ball. Give me the ball. Give me the fucking ball. So basically the ball is moving around. If I can get the ball to move around. What the fuck's going on here? Bang. Ball. So the ball is moving around here. From Pogba to McTominay, side to side, then to Wan-Bissaka, then to Luke Shaw. Moving around like this. And we had a line of 4 players here in a line. And all we were trying to do against Villarreal's low block, and we've seen it all season, is work a situation to work across into the box, but there's 8 players around. Side to side to side, side to side to side, line and around. This is all coming from the coaching ground. Now, look, very, very simply, what I would say is, get Bruno Fernandes, not me, get Bruno Fernandes to drop into the space. And we didn't do that. And it's so frustrating because if we had done that, then United, I believe, would have had a much better chance of winning this game. You pull... Why can't I move? This is getting on my bloody tits. This is actually like Man United. I can't grab hold of my players. So you pull Bruno Fernandes into this situation here. He should be dropping in here. Marcus Rashford should be dropping in here as well. These players should be dropping into these spaces so that when the ball is here, you knock it into them and then Pogba makes the move. Bruno then has options ahead of him. Or if McTominay gets it, he knocks it in and he moves into here. Because Lindelof and Bailly can move up. We were so static in those lines of 4 all the time. And it's just basic coaching, very basic coaching that Manchester United struggle. We're talking about it at half time. You know, you can talk about the goal we conceded, a line of 8 red players and 4 yellow players, and somehow a yellow player ends up with a one-on-one from a cross into the box. It's disgusting. That's defensive basics. But also on the attack, 60% possession, no really good chances. The goal we scored came from a mess, didn't it? It wasn't a well-worked chance. We didn't create anything. This is very, very basic. And I think people need to wake up to the fact that, yeah, Ollie's got his weaknesses and we can talk about that in a minute. But the coaching is dreadful. It's absolutely dreadful. We're going to do like season player ratings tomorrow. We'll go through that more about individual players tomorrow. But on a coaching sense, you've been here for this season as long as I have. We've conceded goals all over the shop from crosses into the box, and we've struggled time and time again against the low block. And this is I tell you what, it terrifies me how bad the coaching is at Man United. And they'll all be sat there this morning saying second in the league, what you on about, scored the most goals. But when the going gets tough, United bottle it. Like when a team figures us out, United bottle it. And Villarreal figured us out last night. And you know for what? That's an Arsenal sacked manager. Sometimes I feel that I can coach and manage this team way better than Ollie, says Wet Salmon. Well, look, this is what I'm saying. Ollie doesn't coach the team. What Ollie got wrong yesterday, we'll discuss in a moment. Ollie doesn't coach the team. He's admitted he doesn't coach the team. The coaches below Solskjaer ain't good enough. And I've said this for a long time. They ain't good enough. Whether it's defensive coaching, whether it's passing and moving, whether it's breaking teams down, it's not good enough. Look at the CVs of the coaches we've got under Ollie. They ain't good enough. On paper, they're not good enough. So they're going to have to improve massively. I wouldn't give them a holiday. They should be off there. You know, on what basis have they got the job? They've gone and done the coach. They've gone and done the coaching badges. Have they been round Europe? Have they been round teams like, can I go and spend some time at Ajax? Can I go and spend some time at Real Madrid? Can I go and spend some time? You know, pick a handful of really good football clubs and go and shadow them before you become a coach. Because our coaching methods, I think they belong in a manual from 1986. Like, we can't defend a cross. We can't defend a corner. We're doing zonal marking but standing still. We can't break down 2 banks of 4 because we're playing 2 lines of 4 ourselves. I mean, it's crazy how bad our coaching is. And that isn't actually Solskjaer in the sense that he doesn't coach the team, but his coaches and this jobs for the boys mentality. You go through our fitness department, you go through our first team coaches, loads of them have got connections to people. It's a job for the boys. You don't win things against teams like Man City and Chelsea when you've got jobs for the boys. You win things by having expertise. But it's a theme that runs through the club. Woodward's been CEO for nearly 10 years because he's mates with the Glazers. Woodward's going to leave. The next CEO will be a mate of Woodward and the Glazers. The director of football has been at the club for years because he's a mate with Woodward. It's all mates rates and it's not specialism. And this is why the club fails. Because ultimately, we're not close to winning. We're not close to winning at all. We overachieved this season, I believe. I remember when Marcus Rashford was a professional footballer and not St. Marcus the activist who plays football, says Meb3. If I were in charge, I'd sack him despite his second position in the riddle. Is this against your idea to end the cycle? Plus, we can't be ruthless because we've not got a winning team yet. We're not the same team we were in 2013, says Milan. And the amount of goals from corners and set pieces is not being talked about enough. Victor being injured whole season as well, says Johan. Ollie doesn't coach the team, but Ollie doesn't manage the team either, says Julian. He didn't make a single sub and played for penalties. He's not a United manager, period. And Ollie loved to know what Fergie was saying up in the stands yesterday. He must have been pulling his hair out with the lack of subs, says Matt. Well, look, I spoke about the coaching side of things there. Let's talk about the decision making because there is accountability. The reality is the title of the show is Solskjaer out of excuses, and he is out of excuses. And I think what we're going to see now is for all the good work that's been done this season, you finish the season on a sour note, you go into next season with trepidation. Patience will run out with Solskjaer very quickly next season. Now, I said after the Leipzig result, give him till May. Well, May is over now. The football season is over for Manchester United. Where do I sit now? Some of you said, sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after Leipzig. Some of you have been saying Ole out all season. Some of you have said, keep him, give him more time. Some of you, like me, said, let's see where we are in May. Well, we're in May now. What decision do you make? And there's no decision that I can't play for likes here. I can't please everybody with what I'm about to say, so I can only be honest like I am. I would give him next season. I know I said I would sack him if I was in charge, but I'm not in charge of this football club. If I was in charge of this football club, half that team would be sacked. So that's not real. That's Goldbridge, the bloody CEO with £400 million to spend. That's not real. In a real world where you've just finished second, you don't sack that manager. You give him another season. Do I have confidence in him next season? I think whether you're Ollie in, Ollie out, Ollie out, next season is the acid test, because he's got to finish in the top 4. I don't think that will be easy. He's got to progress the team. I don't think that will be easy. He needs a massive summer. I don't think that will be easy. And I don't think there'll be any patience. You know, I'd be watching for the fixture list in mid-June, because if that start to the season isn't a good one, he could be gone by Christmas. And remember, let me just say this as well. This morning is not an easy situation. There is no answer. If you're Ollie in, you shouldn't get shit. If you're Ollie out, you shouldn't get shit. The reality is, people are divided because there's a divided fan base, because there is a lot of uncertainty and there's a lot of frustration. Let me just drop another bomb into the fire. Boom! Jose Mourinho. Lots of people wanted Mourinho out. He came second in the league with 81 points. We've just come second in the league with 74 points. 81, 74, 77 points difference. If you took 7 points off Manchester United, we'd only just be fourth. So, Manchester United, is it progress? I don't think it is progress. I don't think we are close to the extent that we should be celebrating. Of course it's progress third to second. Of course it's progress 66 points to 74 points. It's 8 points, isn't it? But is it progress to go, yeah, we're on the right track? And I don't think it's progress to that extent. It's progress, but not as we want it. So next season becomes absolutely massive. And on the decision making, all I'm going to say is the match yesterday is 100% display of how we play, who we are as a team, and how not well we are. The evidence is clear. Betting coaching needed, says King Royal Media. Welcome to the Members Club, Johan and Alan. And I just want to say that I think that comment from King Royal Media is absolutely spot on. I spoke about it last night, and I was talking to Flex this morning, and we were both having a chat, and basically we were just saying that what happened last night, in a calm sense, because I'm not ranting this morning, I'm just saying what I think, and I think that's what everyone else feels. In the most calmest sense, and please smash a like on the video if you're watching, by the way, make sure you subscribe. In its most calm sense, last night, when you look back on it, was everybody's worst reality fear. And what I mean by that is, what actually happened wasn't a shock. And this is the scariest bit. And, you know, if you want to clip anything or anything like that, this is what I would say is the scariest bit. That everything that happened last night, if you really are a United fan and you really do be honest to yourself, everything that happened last night badly, you already knew could happen. The goal we conceded from a cross has been happening all season. The inability to break a team down that plays 2 banks of 4 has been there all season. The lack of substitutes in a 90-minute game has been there all season. And the second half performance that outshines the shit first half performance has been there all season. Those 4 things, for me, are the fundamental things that if I'm Solskjaer, I'm looking at this morning and going, that is a consistent issue. That is why we're second. That is why we're not winning the Europa League. Because those 4 things are glaringly obvious and glaringly bad. And look, the big one for me that was absolutely... And look, that penalty shootout, if you watch me back, I thought it was a farce. I thought it was an absolute farce. When you get to 10 penalties each and you're like, it wasn't even exciting. And I was worried. I was worried that we were playing for penalties. But losing that final, I don't feel we lost the penalty shootout. I know the history books will say we lost the penalty shootout. I don't think we lost the penalty shootout. I think we delivered what we are, which is those 4 things I've just said. Half a team that only comes out... Why do we need a bollocking at half time to perform? You know, even going back to December, Southampton, West Ham losing at half time and time again, losing at half time. That's a reflection on the coaching. That's a reflection on the manager. Why do we need a second? Why every game are we second half FC? That's embarrassing. But the biggest contradiction of all is that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a Manchester United legend, and some people think, well, he's only in a job because of that. He's living off that. If his name was Ole Gunnar Mourinho and he'd never played for United, it would be Ole out and everyone would want him out and he probably would be sacked. But because he's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the United legend, he gets away with a lot. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. But the biggest contradiction for me is he's a legend because he scored a goal in a cup final that won us a treble in the Champions League in Barcelona at the Nou Camp against Bayern Munich in the last seconds of a European Cup final. Did he start that game? Was he on the bench at half-time? No, he didn't start the game. Yes, he was on the bench at half-time. Did he come on and change the game with Teddy Sheringham? Yes. And yet he is now a manager and doesn't use substitutes. It's the most amazing contradiction I've ever heard. Because I've always said about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and some of you won't be old enough to remember, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he came on in one game and scored 4 goals. He came off the bench and scored 4 goals. As a player, he is the advert. You know, if substitutes needed a substitutes chairman, association to defend substitutes, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would be your role model. He would be your ambassador, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on the bench could analyse a game for 80 minutes. Sir Alex could say get on, and he'd find the space to score the goal because he analysed a game. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows the importance of being a substitute, and he knows the impact it can have. And yet, as a manager, he doesn't use them. And all season, this has been the problem. And the decision-making yesterday from Solskjaer was abysmal. He absolutely, I don't know whether I'm tempted to say in front of the world. My biggest criticism of Solskjaer yesterday is that in front of the world, he exposed himself as weak. And that really hurts me, because it was weak to not make any substitutions in 90 minutes. It was cowardly not to do it. And the reason I think he didn't do it is because he was scared. He was scared to take Rashford off because Rashford might produce a minute even though he's not playing well. He was scared to take McTominay or Pogba off because, well, they're doing quite a good job even though they were tired. And Pep Guardiola, as an example, he would take Mahrez off. He would take off De Bruyne if he needed to, if De Bruyne was tired. Because Pep Guardiola is confident in his ability and also knows that it doesn't matter how good a player is, if they're knackered after 75 minutes, they're not getting a nitro boost. They're going to get more and more tired. And unfortunately, Ollie's decision-making in-game is nothing like what he was as a player. It's cowardly in a sense because he just doesn't dare. He's got a fear of making changes. He sticks with how things are in the hope that somebody will produce something instead of trusting his tactical acumen. Because if I'm the coach yesterday with 70 minutes gone, I'm like, Van der Beek played brilliantly at the weekend and he's fresh. And also I've got Diallo if I'm really desperate. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put Pogba where Rashford is and I'm going to put Van der Beek where Pogba is. And if that doesn't work, I can also take McTominay off and put Matic on. Those are the changes I would have made with 20 minutes to go. And I would have been not criticised for doing that either. But he sticks with the same thing. He froze. He absolutely froze. And not trusting your bench is one thing, but subbing players in the 116th minute to make an impact is just disgraceful. I'm gutted, really, says King. I mean, the substitutions, as I remember them, the substitutions that he made were crap as well. Fred came on. Remind me. I know Twansebi came on for Bailly. I know that Mata and Telles came on for penalties, but I don't really count them. Fred came on for Pogba, and that was it. I think that. I mean, they made no sense. The substitutes made no sense. But look, I think the decision making from Ollie is in game is on Ollie, and I think the coaching behind him is on the coaches, and I think that's why we lost the game yesterday. We were despicable, absolutely despicable, defensively, and the ability. I mean, 2 shots in 120 minutes on target. We averaged 1 shot on target every hour with 60% possession. It's abysmal. That is abysmal, and that's on the coaches. And I tell you what, that is the thing I wake up this morning and I'm frustrated about the most, is that I look at United's bench and all those coaches, and all I ever see is smiling and little chats and this, that, and the other. And it's like jobs for the boys. It's corrupt. It's not corrupt. It's frustrating that how United's recruitment is. They like to recruit from within, and I'm almost like, it's like having you see these videos on YouTube. your area, getting a takeaway from your area's worst takeaway. And it's like going to that takeaway restaurant and saying, you know, who are your cooks? Well, it's Dave, my brother-in-law, and it's Karen, my sister-in-law. You know, but why don't you get a proper chef in? Because, you know, we just get on. And that's what United are like. We just employ people because we know them or they used to play for the club. We've not been successful for nearly a decade. So why are you employing people from within the club? Like, you know, even the director of football, I hope he has a good summer, but he's been at the club for 8 years. We've been shit in transfers for a long, long time and recruit from within. Why do we recruit from within? So this obsession from recruiting within. Have they all got some big secret that you're not meant to know? That if you bring an outsider in, they go, I can't believe it. And I think that's it. I think if you brought a Van der Sar in or you brought in a top-class coach, they'd probably walk out. Because they'd go, this club's a bloody joke. So they keep it in-house to keep the secrets within. Never felt so gutted, says Philip. Where do we go from here? Will be next season. He will be judged. Philip, if I'm honest, the Barcelona final in 09 felt a lot worse than this. But I think that the worst thing about this morning is that it makes me feel like, as I said, when you look at it, we've been defending badly all season. We can't break teams down. We're crap in the first half and Ollie doesn't make subs. That's not a problem from yesterday. The reason we lost yesterday is the problem we've had all season. Second place probably just covers it up. Mark, a lot of fans say, would Pep or Klopp win at United, but would Ollie win at Liverpool or City? No, he wouldn't. So why is he here, says Thomas T. You know what? For the first time, Thomas, not you, but I think that's a great question. And I'd ask the live comments as well. If you put Pep in charge of United, I don't think he could win the title. But if you put Pep, and this is a brilliant point, and thanks to Thomas for teeing me up for this. For a long time, we've had this conversation. If Pep was in charge of this United side, if Klopp was in charge of this United side, and I've always said, in my opinion, we wouldn't win the title. We'd only get second place, and Ollie's achieved that. But if you put Pep or Klopp in charge of that United side yesterday, we would have won the Europa League. Yes, 100%. 100%. Pep Guardiola with that squad yesterday would have won. Klopp would have won. 100%. Not just because they would have made substitutions on the 70-minute mark, but also the way they would approach the game would be better. So no, I don't think Pep and Klopp could win the title with this team because I think we are 3 top qualities of players away from being in that conversation. But we should be winning the Europa League. And that's the horrible thing this morning is I know we're not good enough to win the Premier League and I know we're not good enough to win the title, no matter who the Champions League, no matter who our manager is. But the sad thing this morning is I actually do have to put my hands up as somebody who wants Ollie to succeed and say a different manager would have won us that game last night, and that's a worry. And what a horrible way to finish the season as well, because I think we were so close to being positive. And some people still will be positive. And I think at the start of the season, we will move past this a bit. I mean, we lost an FA Cup, didn't we, with Mourinho, and that was a bad end to the season. But knowing that, yeah, we lost that final. We didn't lose the final because of players. We lost the final because of coaching last night. And coaching isn't just the manager. I really want to make that very clear. Ollie doesn't teach the team how to defend corners. Ollie doesn't teach the team how to break teams down. That is not his job. Collective coaching network is just not good enough and they need to take a long, hard look at themselves. Ollie and his staff are one. Trying to separate them is making more excuses for Ollie. Ollie's in charge. It's under his watch, says Audi. I agree on that, Audi. He should be saying to the board that he should be sacking his mates, but he's not going to sack his mates, is he? He won't even drop people like Marcus Rashford when they're injured. So Ollie is silly loyal. So he's not going to change his coaching staff, no. Seriously, folks, we can't keep Ollie as manager. Glazers don't buy too many players. What if he buys badly and then they sack him, says Andy and Bruno. Potter and these reps are talking to Spurs. Sky just broke it there. More competition for us if he signs. Look, other clubs are going to look to be competent. Manchester United's summer, let's just speak about that for a moment, because that's what we've got to focus on now. Manchester United's summer has to be a good one. My scary thing is, and let's talk about that because it does fit in with the game last night. A lot of people talking about get Torres, sign Paul Torres. He proved last night that he's the man. And I'm like, I thought he played very well, Paul Torres. And I you know me, I love a conversation. I love different opinions. I love the fact that people disagree. I would disagree with anybody that said that Paul Torres is shit and he's not good enough for United. That's not my issue with him. I thought he played very well. But I said it in the first 10 minutes and I felt it even at the end of the game. He reminds me of Harry Maguire. His body movement is very similar. He reads the game very similar. He's good in the air. He's good on the ball. And he's not particularly fast. He's quicker than Maguire, but he's not particularly fast. I like a centre-back pairing that complements each other. When you think about Rio and Vidic, when you think about Pallister and Bruce, complement each other. You've got the pace, you've got the reading of the game, you've got the physicality, you've got the ability on the ball. I think Torres and Maguire, and I do think United might sign Pau Torres, but I think they're too similar. I don't think they complement each other. And can I also just say, my big problem with Pau Torres is that he's clearly third, fourth choice. He's not first choice. 100% not the first choice. And if you're going to give a manager that we've just said is a way off from where we need to be, third and fourth choices, you're not going to win a title, are you? You know, if you give Pep Guardiola his third or fourth choice, I'd still say he probably can achieve. But Ollie definitely needs the first choices. To have any chance of succeeding, you've got to give Ollie the best. And is Pau Torres the best? No, he's not. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this summer, he will be in charge next year. I'm content with that. I know it's going to happen and I want him to succeed. There's massive issues next season. I think the 4 things we've spoken about, he's got to improve. If he doesn't, you know, fans back in the ground, they will get impatient next season. But if we want to step forward, and we do want to step forward, the club need to deliver Jadon Sancho, Declan Rice and Rafael Varane. Those 3 players would massively help that team. Anything less than that, you know, Rafinha, Calvin Phillips and Pau Torres, that ain't good enough, is it? Sancho, Rice, Varane, you start to think, hey, we can step up. Rafinha, Calvin Phillips, Torres, all right, they're all good players, but they're not first choice players. And that's what United must do this summer transfer window if we want to step forward. And if we don't do that, and I do fear what will happen is we'll end up with no midfielder, a third or fourth choice centre-back and Sancho. And that's not going to be good enough. You know, that's not going to be good enough. Do you think if he gets backed and he has subs he can use Sancho, the deficiencies in his game management will improve? I honestly think it's a wave we just have to ride. We will progress, says Milan. And embarrassing, a good team getting run into the ground by inept coaches and manager and dirty owners. Ollie's not good enough, clean out the club, says Showtime. I mean, look, I said it last night and I'll say it again. If you want to make the excuse that if you give Ollie more players, he'll do better. But the bench yesterday, Axel Tuanzebe is better than Lindelof. Didn't start him. Van der Beek was bought by him a year ago, apparently, for 35 million. Didn't get a minute. Diallo was bought by him in January and actually played really well at the weekend and scored a goal, a very important goal against AC Milan. Didn't get a minute, cost 35 million. So there's 3 players there that, you know, 2 of them are his signings. One of them's better than a player that you've just started. I just don't think... I said it in the game yesterday, and this is the only excuse I can offer up for Ollie. I think he was scared to make a sub. I think Emery made 5 subs before Ollie made any. And I think what he was doing is he was like, well, I can't take Marcus off because he might do something. I can't take Cavani off because he might do something. I can't take Greenwood off because he might do something. I can't take Bruno off because he's my best player. I can't take Pogba off because he might do something. And I can't take McTominay off because he's playing well. And he just didn't know which of those 6 players to take off because he's not strong enough in his conviction to realise that regardless of whether a player's playing well, they're running out of energy and need to freshen it up. And that's happened time and time again this season. And sometimes we've got away with it. Wolves at home, Rashford scored late on with a deflected shot. But ultimately, the luck ran out yesterday. This season, we achieved so much more than most would have expected. Ollie wasn't back last summer and he got second and a final. It's hard, but we move, says GG. Well, you know, I'm glad that you're feeling positive. Make sure you smash a like on the video. There's a couple of things I just want to talk about as well. Mark, I'm heartbroken, says Jahid. And I think his subs need work. If you concede first, clean sheet is gone. Get attacking options in, especially in knockout games, says Ash. And we have a very strong team, not strong enough to win the Premier League or the Champions League. We need many good signings in the summer. Defence is key at the moment, says Jed. And only the owners and the board of a poorly run football club could allow its team to go trophyless for 5 straight years and still be content with that, says Mayor. Well, exactly, Mayor. And I think that's a great point. The reality is people were protesting about these owners a few weeks ago. Why is that? Why would that change? Why would that change? The ambition of this football club, and there was a great point there before. Sancho should have been here last summer. A centre-back should have been here last summer. We didn't get them. Shockingly bad run football club. The football ground itself is falling apart. Behind the scenes, the club is a mess. And yet, you know, we still focus in on players and managers. And actually, the way the club is run, the people who own the club, They preside over this. And I said it a few weeks ago, if you tolerate this, then your children will be next. And the reality is, your children, if you've got them, or the next generation of United fans, they're going to suffer like we are under this current regime because we are not close. Do not listen to the words of certain players and managers last night that were close, fine margins. It's not fine margins. Going to penalties after 120 minutes against Villarreal with the quality we have is an embarrassment. It's not fine margins. We scored with half an hour to go in normal time. That game was there to be won. And we sat back and just carried on with the same side-to-side shit when we should have gone for the throat. Villarreal never looked like scoring in that game. They never looked like scoring. And yet we played this side-to-side, pathetic, crappy football instead of trying to get at them. Because we don't have the tactical acumen on the coaching setup to break teams down. We lost that game in 90 minutes. We didn't lose it on the penalty shootout. A penalty shootout is like, it's a lottery. It's an absolute lottery. It's like swimming in the sea next to your big yacht and your wife or boyfriend shouts out, there's a big shark a mile away. You might want to get out of the boat. I'll do it in a minute. It's now half a mile away. Yeah, I'll get out in a minute. It's now 100 metres away. I'll get out in a minute. It's now 10 metres away. I'll see if I can get out. You got eaten. That danger of the penalty shootout was coming for fucking ages. And we decided to leave it till the very last minute to try and win it. And we lost. We got eaten up. You know, that game should have been won. Forget extra time. We should have won that game in the last half an hour. We had that game. Cavani scores. Villarreal's confidence drops. Half an hour. We should have gone for it. And I tell you what, there was a man in the stadium who would have been thinking exactly that. That he'll smile and he'll put his arm round De Gea and he'll say, well done, Ollie. Sir Alex Ferguson in that last half an hour would have smelt the blood and he would have gone for it. Because Villarreal were there to be got at. And also, Villarreal had zero pace on the break. So we never needed to worry about being caught out. And we didn't go for it. And that's where it went. That's where that game won. On the goalkeeper situation, somebody just said, you said you were going to say something about the goalkeeper situation. Look, David, I said before the penalty shootout that David De Gea isn't very good on penalties, and maybe a substitution for Henderson could have been done. You know, maybe if you want to attack Ollie for that, you can do. To turn that situation into, oh, that's why we need to sell De Gea. How many penalty shootouts have United had in the last 10 years? The only other one I can remember was Derby County in a Carabao Cup shitty game. So you don't sell your best goalkeeper because he's not very good on penalty shootouts. I think for me, this now fits the agenda of the media to say, yeah, Henderson's the goalkeeper, sell De Gea. I ain't selling De Gea because of a penalty shootout, because we won't have many penalty shootouts. And maybe in the future, if we get a penalty shootout, you bring your specialist goalkeeper on. But in a 90-minute game, De Gea is the best goalkeeper Manchester United have got. And Ollie made that decision right. You know, you cannot say that Ollie, in my opinion, got it wrong to start De Gea because we lost the penalty shootout. We're in the final because of De Gea. He was world class against Roma. Henderson against Liverpool was atrocious. And he'd had a couple of dodgy performances before that. Against Fulham, De Gea was great as well. So De Gea, for me, is still the better goalkeeper. But a decision has to be made this summer. And if De Gea's going to go and Henderson's the new number one next year, then that's on Ollie. I think that might be a mistake, but that's on Ollie. If Henderson goes and De Gea's the number one, that's on Ollie. He's got to make a decision. But what we can't do next season is keep going through this boring cycle of the media. I mean, I wake up this morning and everyone's talking about De Gea in the media because they're idiots. They don't understand football. So they won't talk about the fact that Lindelof actually cost us the goal and the fact that Ollie didn't make subs. On the goalkeeping situation, I am where I've been for a long time. One of them needs to go in the summer. For me, I still think Henderson's the best. I still think De Gea's the best goalkeeper in a 90-minute game. How many penalty shootouts are you going to get? So that what happened last night is irrelevant to me. What I'm hearing from the club is that they're trying to sell De Gea. So we'll see what happens on that. One thing people are not talking about, of course, is Pogba. How the fucking hell is Pogba going to sign a new contract at Manchester United? So look, we've got an interview at lunchtime with Christian Falk, who's been on the show before. He's a German journalist, very close to the Bundesliga. So very interesting update on a couple of things, especially on the right wing situation if we don't get Sancho. So make sure you watch that. That's going to go up at 2 o'clock. And please do smash a like on the video. But yeah, ultimately, I think that we're all very disappointed this morning. I'm absolutely gutted this morning. And it's going to take a while to get over it. Thankfully, we do have the Euros, which will take our mind off it. And we know that the transfer stuff's going to start trickling in. But in the cold light of day, there are 2 takeaways I would take away from this. One, next season, there is not going to be a lot of patience. We have, if there's another blip next season, if there's another, period of bad results, I think that might be it for Ollie. So next season, he's got to achieve. And also, I think Chelsea will be better. I think Liverpool will be better. So straight away, you might be dropping down to 4th, which is a drop-off. And fans will pick up on that. So I think all the good work Ollie's done this season, it's still there. But I think, the new contract's going to go down like a lead balloon, even though in my opinion, he should get it. And I don't think next season there's going to be a lot of patience if we don't start the season well. And that cycle could continue. And if you're asking me right now, do I think Ollie will be in charge next year? If he's in charge this time next year, we've had an amazing season, which is exciting because I think next season is going to be very difficult. The second thing I would say is, if I was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I'm sending every one of my coaches out to go and look at teams that can actually play football because they are woeful. The defensive coaching is terrible. The attacking coaching is terrible. Basically, if you put our coaches in charge of Burnley, they get us relegated. They get Burnley relegated. The only reason I think we get away with some of these bad coaching setups is because of the quality of player that we have at the club. Because you look at this season, Luke Shaw, Bruno Fernandes, Pogba at times, Rashford at times, Cavani at times, Maguire at times. These are individual good players whose ability is, keeping us up where we are. I think, ideally, I think Solskjaer should sack 3 of his first team coaches and bring in specialists, but he won't do that. But they should be waking up this morning feeling very responsible for what happened last night. You can't keep conceding goals like we concede from set pieces. It's basic. It's absolutely basic. If Morecambe or bloody Solihull Moors or Dover Athletic were conceding goals like we do from crosses and set pieces, they'd be bollocking their coaches. Why are we not bollocking ours? If if Southampton was struggling to break teams down like we are, they'd be sacking their coaches. We are a joke as a coaching network at the moment, and that Ollie sits above that, but Ollie needs to look at that 100%. And also, Ollie needs to look at himself in relation to in-game decision making. Play a bit of Football Manager over the summer and start subbing off your best players with 20 minutes to go and see what happens, because fitness levels drop. And all right, Van der Beek, mate, you might not think Van der Beek's as good as Rashford, but when Rashford's having a bad game and he's tired and he's injured, and you bring Van der Beek on, there will be an upturn because Van der Beek is fresh and on it. So it's just logics. There's things that we can improve on very, very quickly, but we have to improve on it very, very quickly. If we go into next season making the same things, then I fear that he won't last too long in the job. Thanks everyone for watching. Allegri's going back to Juventus, by the way, according to Fabrizio Romano, which is interesting. Thanks everyone for watching. Please smash a like on the video. Make sure you check out the video. It's going up at lunchtime. Very interesting interview with Christian Falk talking about all transfers. And then obviously we'll be back later on this evening with a live show. Bit of a Q&A tonight, I think. Bit of a Q&A. I think we need it. And obviously if anything big happens, we'll go live anyway. Thanks for watching. Smash a like on the video. Keep a smile on your face if you can. I think, United's situation is not good. It never has been good. We're a mess from top to bottom, and we still are a mess from top to bottom. There is no magic pill to take to change this. Ideally, Glazer's out, reform of the football club, because it needs reforming from top to bottom. And as I've said many times before, if you want to sack Ollie, or you want to change the coaches, or you want to sell a player, or you want to bring a player in, the best way for that to happen is to change the way the club's run at the top. Because it's bad decision making over the last 16 years that is causing us problems now. And people will say, well, it wasn't bad under Sir Alex, but the damage was being done under Sir Alex. He was winning things, but the damage was coming and it wasn't being rectified. And it's been spiralling down and down for a long, long time. Thanks for watching. I'll speak to you all in a bit.